This is James Lupton, delighted to be joined today with Dmitry Salita, promoter of Claressa Shields. Dmitry, how are you today?
Doing great.
Good stuff. I mentioned there, Claressa Shields. Let's talk about that. September the 10th, a monumental event, an all-women's boxing card in London, O2 Arena. What's it like, first of all, to be a part of that?
Incredible. It's been quite a journey with Claressa. Taking part in so many historic fights. Certainly this one is the biggest one ever. Having the support of Sky, huge platform in the UK, specifically for women's boxing and what they're doing for it. And it being on ESPN Plus in the United States is really tremendous. And I believe the fight will live up to all the hype and all the build-up. It's going to be really tremendous electric event.
With yourself, obviously, you was previously a boxer yourself. You've seen the journey, you've been in the sport a long time. I think you turned over about 2001. Now, the difference between then and now in women's boxing, just how much of a difference is that?
You bring up a great point. So I really started boxing in 1995. I turned pro in 2001. And I grew up with a lady, her name was Keisha Snow. She was a Golden Gloves champion, really sensational, very talented. But at that time, she had nowhere to go because women's boxing really wasn't a business. And I've been with her to different amateur boxing tournaments throughout the country and seen her struggle. And then, I guess almost 20 years later, 17 years later, to get involved with the career of Claressa Shields, really incredible. So women's boxing has come a long way. It's still not where it should be, but it's heading in the right direction. And as I said at the Sky press conference, I really believe that Claressa's success has a lot to do with it, and the fact that she is the right person at the right time, meaning that she's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, has a tremendous backstory, and it kind of has all the ingredients to be a superstar in the sport of boxing. And the fact that she has this incredible rivalry with Savannah Marshall is so important because, without rivalries, fans don't tune in and people don't really get to know the story. So this is really incredible, and it's a real rivalry. They, both in the peak of their careers, both very confident about their chances to win, both competitively do not like each other, and I think it has all the ingredients for an incredible fight.
You mentioned there the rivalry, the dislike for each other. This has been going on for 10 years since they last met in the ring as an amateur. Of course, Savannah Marshall is the only person, amateur or pro, to ever defeat Claressa Shields. Could this sort of get borderline personal for Claressa, and is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I don't know what personal means. People say, well, it's not personal, it's just business. I really don't know what it means because boxing, you live boxing. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you run, you orchestrate your day to go to the gym so you can train, and then you compete in tournaments, you compete in fights. So I think everything that we do, and if we're good at it, we give it all our heart and our soul, it's personal. So it's certainly personal in terms of Claressa wanting to kind of, write another significant chapter in her illustrious career. So is it personal? I think it's as professionally personal as it could be. But being that they're both so serious about their craft, will they be friends after the fight? I don't know. I think so. I hope so. But certainly today, June 11th, 2022, I think that a significant amount of Claressa's day is focused on training and making sure that she's the best she could be for Savannah Marshall.
You mentioned a moment ago, obviously, about the progression of the female sport and Claressa being, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, undefeated professional multi-weight world champion. Now, I don't know, obviously, from over here in the UK, but in terms of the US, what is her fan base like? Are these young girls going into the gym because of Claressa Shields?
I think Claressa, she grew up in Flint, Michigan, which is one of the most challenged places in the United States. She still lives in Flint. She's made some good money throughout her career. The fact that she chooses to live in Flint is really incredible because different kids that are going through different challenges in their areas of life see a role model walking on the same streets that they walk on, go to the same stores that they go to, hanging out at the same places. So it's really incredible what she has done for, as a sports hero and using sports as a tool to show people that you can make it if you stay focused, if you believe in yourself, and if you work hard, you can make it, no matter what your surroundings are. Certainly, Clarissa is the first woman ever in the history of the sport in the United States to be featured as a main event on premium cable network television, which was Showtime, her second professional fight. That's when we started working together. And, after that, all the other incredible women fighters throughout the world started getting some platforms and some exposure on the Zone and ESPN and HBO at the time. So certainly Clarissa's success has moved the ball forward and has broken some glass ceilings. And as you know, Clarissa is very outspoken and pretty much, lets people know what's on her mind. And I do believe some people like it, some people don't like it. But, to the ones that don't like it, I got to say that progress a lot of times doesn't happen through being quiet. And because of Clarissa's desire to kind of talk about it, talk about the issues and let it be known. And because we have social media today and fans and people of significance and people in position of power, can listen to it and can take note, I think is very important. And so I do think that Clarissa's success, not only her success, but her understanding her position. She's so young, but she understands who she is at this moment in time is very important. And I do believe, like I said at the press conference, that 20 years from now, Clarissa's name is going to be mentioned along the lines of Muhammad Ali, Pele, Michael Jordan, and all the great athletes that transcended their sport.
You mentioned these iconic names of sport. They are role models and still are to this day to people coming up, growing up, doing whatever they may do. Do you feel that Clarissa is more than just a role model for young girls when they get into boxing? Do you feel she's a role model to women worldwide in general?
I mean, of course, look at what she's done. I mean, she's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, three-time amateur world boxing champion. I mean, and just amazing amount of titles and accomplishments. And again, as I said at the press conference, she was a young girl growing up in Flint before women's boxing was a business. Her goal was to be the best. And people say like, well, I want to make a lot of money. So and the answer to that is first be very good at what you do. And Clarissa's goal wasn't to make money, it wasn't to get trophies, it was just to be the best. And she became the best over and over again. And she became the best, coming from a very challenged surrounding. And that's really incredible. It's just a great human interest story. So if you're not a boxing fan, I do still believe that it's very interesting. And, overcoming the odds from, rags to riches, all of these different stories are in line with in real life, in line with what Clarissa has accomplished. Human will overcoming your surroundings, and it's really incredible. And I'm Clarissa's fan because I love boxing, and I'm her fan as a person, and I'm very grateful and honored to really be on this journey of her professional career, really from the beginning of her career, and doing some amazing things together, including this fight with Savannah Marshall. And I do want to say that we've been chasing this fight for many years, and then when Savannah teamed up with Sky, we reached out, and although it took some time, but we knew that we can get a deal done, and finally got it done, so that we can have the super mega event happen.
You mentioned there it's been a long time in the making. How difficult or frustrating has it been to not get it done? Is it just promotional politics?
Well, Savannah has never really accepted the fight up until now. She never really shown any interest to fight Clarissa. And I do think that once she teamed up with Sky, first she was with Eddie, and then when Eddie left, she stayed with Sky. Her profile started to get bigger. In the beginning she was signed with the promotions, and I think maybe had one or a couple of fights with them, but for some reason it didn't take off. Then when she had a big broadcaster behind her, the story started to get told, and being that Clarissa was as successful as she was winning world titles during her progress, meaning during Savannah's progress, I do think that kind of two world powers collided, and I think it's great for the sport. It's great for both of these athletes that it's going to get that this fight is going to get the exposure that it deserves, not only on fight night, but also obviously the build up to the fight. And like all big fights, as you know, there's a tremendous amount of shoulder programming, different kind of shows that tell the story of these different fighters as relates to the fight, as relates to their life leading up to this point. So I really believe that it's very positive for women's sports, and not only for women's sports, just for women's rights all over the world, to see these two sensational, amazingly accomplished athletes on center stage for the world to see. And this event is going to be more than just a boxing event. I believe it's going to be a cultural event that is going to be remembered and will have impact for a long time to come, and in a very powerful and positive way.
The last question on this topic, is this going to be Claressa Shields' toughest fight to date?
We don't know. I mean, Claressa, look what she's doing. She's traveling thousands of miles away from her home, away from her country, to avenge her only loss that happened as an amateur when she was 17 years old. Really, if she would have never mentioned it, it would kind of like wouldn't bother to bring it up, it wouldn't be a big deal. But she chose to bring it up, and she chose to make it a big deal, and she chose to make it a big fight. So, Claressa is really an incredible athlete, an incredible person that wants to challenge herself every time she steps into the ring. So I think that, Claressa fought some great fighters. And in a pro debut, she fought Franchon Cruz, who's now probably the best super middleweight in the world champion. She fought Hannah Gabriels, Christina Hammer, who was an undefeated world champion. So she's fought a lot of great fighters in women's boxing. And, on September 11th, we'll see if it will be the toughest fight of her career, but certainly has the ingredients to be a challenging fight. However, I got to tell you this. When Claressa fought Christina Hammer, it was a big fight, a lot of build-up. First time a women's fight, again, was a main event on Saturday night. Showtime did shoulder programming, did inside training camp for both of these fighters, which was really incredible, never before done. So, very grateful that Showtime, did that for Claressa and really for women's boxing. But, night of the fight, and I thought that and Christina Hammer was a very good fighter, and I'm sitting there ringside, and Claressa, she went to super mode, and she became, her defense, her offense, she was just incredible. And they say pressure makes diamonds. Certainly in that situation, pressure did make Claressa super athlete on that night. And something about great fighters and great athletes that when the whole world is watching, they use it as motivation. They use that energy to empower themselves to be the best they can be. And I believe that Claressa has all the tools to turn it into next gear, and possibly completely outbox Savannah. And we really don't know how Savannah deals with punches when she gets hit. She's never really fought anyone that tested her. The other thing that I want to say about Savannah, she was 66 and 13, something like that, as an amateur. Not one knockout, not one. And as a pro, she's shown tremendous punching power. She's like Tommy Hearns, really. And so overall, I want to say, I have a lot of respect for the Fury family, and no doubt that they've had a tremendous positive effect on Savannah's development and growth as a boxer. But her power certainly grew tremendously, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but for this fight, as for all big fights, there's going to be the body testing. So we both know that both camps, God willing, everyone takes the tests and everyone's clean, will be clean, and there'll be a good clean contest between two superior athletes.
Is that a concern for you, the punching power that's appeared from presumably nowhere? Is that something that you are worried about and concerned about?
Well, certainly you have to take that into consideration. Savannah does have good power, and and throughout her career, I think overall punching accuracy has gotten better with fights. You know, I could see some of the things that John Fury, you know, some of the things that John Fury taught her. Some similarities to Tyson, just in the way she.
Peter Fury, sorry, just to correct you there, Peter.
Sorry, Peter Fury. All disrespect, just Peter Fury. So, yeah, you could see some similarities. She lives boxing. I do think that she lives boxing, and she's completely dedicated to the sport. And I really believe it's like, if we want to make a comparison, it's like Leonard versus Hearns, the first time around. Leonard being the Olympic guy, and Hearns being this big puncher who, you know, not too many people knew about in the beginning, but kind of built himself up to that super fight. And, you know, the only difference here is that Clarissa, you know, the Olympic golden child, so to say, is traveling thousands of miles to Savannah's home country, you know, to the O2 Arena to fight Savannah in the Lions Den, so to say. Not to say they're not going to be fans for Clarissa, for sure. And I got to say, the British boxing fans are like no other. They're fantastic. And I love being in the UK for fights, certainly when I represent fighters. Really tremendous love for the sport of boxing. But, you know, you have to believe that Savannah is going to have the majority of the crowd there. And, you know, for Clarissa to take that step and to do it is really incredible. So I am humbled by her desire to be great. And September 10th